Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures Pipeman W4CY Radio. I'm here with one of my favorite health and wealth experts who also has a show on our network, but she's a guest of mine today. And we're going to talk about a topic that, I could talk about this for hours based on my own experiences. We're going to talk about plant-based versus real meat, and the results are in. And Sara Banta, our expert from Accelerated Health Products and Accelerated Health TV and radio show, is with us. So welcome to the show, Sara.
Thanks, Dean. Oh my gosh, I'm so passionate about this topic. First of all, have you ever looked at the back of a Beyond Meat or a plant-based meat product? The ingredients go on and on and on and on. And if anyone's listened to me with my health coaching, we go back to the basics. I don't care if you're eating carbs or fat or protein, get whole food. 70% of what is in the market is processed foods. When you get away from nature, away from the way nature intended food to be, you are going to degrade your health. I don't care if you're a vegan, a vegetarian, a paleo, a carnivore, whatever it is, eat real food. So the good news is that we actually have a study that's talking about the results. In a recent study published by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, they investigated the meat-based alternatives in terms of cardiovascular health and diabetes, two diseases that are blowing up. The study aimed to determine whether replacing animal meat with, oh my gosh, think of this word, plant-based meat analogs, anything that's called an analog, would you really
analog?
Yeah, that's what they're calling it.
Would
it have a positive impact on heart health and reduce the risk of chronic disease? So over the 8 weeks, 89 participants were divided in two groups. One group ate the plant-based meats while the other consumed animal meats. And so they looked at cholesterol, blood sugar, blood pressure. Now, interestingly, the study revealed that neither diet led to a significant change in cholesterol levels. Now, you also have to realize that in the animal meat group, are they eating the buns with the hamburgers? We don't know what they're eating, right? So, but both diets showed improvements in certain blood sugar markers. There was no clear advantage of one over the other, but under a smaller subset, they actually saw an improvement in blood sugar with those eating animal protein. So let's take a step back. What is the goal here? Why are you eating plant-based? Because you think it's healthy. Do you know how many people come to me saying, Sara, I'm gaining weight. I have chronic disease. I don't know what's going on. I eat a healthy diet. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean you're eating chicken and broccoli? If you've listened to me before, you don't want to eat the dirty bird. Right? Chicken is that dirty bird. It's got amyloid proteins. We're going to get into that in a minute. And then broccoli is full of sulfur, which actually could be tripping up your detox pathways. That's for another day. We've talked about it before, but get into my group coaching if you want to learn why some of these healthy foods are not so healthy for you. But I want to talk about how all protein is not equal. Okay? We're comparing natural whole foods that provide the exact nutritional ratios and amino acids our body is designed to assimilate easily. Like goes to like. So you're eating the muscle from the cow, it will build your muscles. When you are combining fake foods to try to make it look like a hamburger, and you don't even know what the nutritional profile is, let alone the inflammatory ingredients that are going to make you so that you're not absorbing those nutrients, you're not comparing apples to apples. So essentially, God intended us to eat animals the way they are. And if you are on the bandwagon of plant-based meat because of climate change and environmental reasons, that's a whole nother podcast. But actually, that is worse for the environment than eating the right animal. Okay, so we're moving on to that. The only time that I ever think that a vegan diet is appropriate is if it's for religious reasons. I understand that. Okay, so when you are comparing that animal protein versus food that mimics meat using pea protein, soybeans, and inflammatory seed oils, you've got a mess. The pea protein, full of mold and inflammatory and lectins. Soybeans, the number one crop that is laden with GMOs and glyphosate. And inflammatory seed oils that are that linoleic acid, they're very unstable oils in the body. They're rancid. They're causing inflammation. And those oils stay in the body for over 7 years. Sugar, in and out of your body in a day, right? So these seed oils are more dangerous than sugar. These meat alternatives are packed with mold, oxalates that can cause hypothyroidism, arthritis, brain fog, urogenital diseases, pain issues, so many issues. And then the sulfur, like that broccoli I was talking about, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, those are all sulfur-based foods. Those are once were healthy for us, but now because of glyphosate and our environmental toxins, our body's not able to detox sulfur from the body. So now when we eat these healthy foods, they're not doing what we think they're doing. They're actually causing bloat and gas, mental issues, and backing up the liver. So these plant-based foods are full of that mold, oxalate, sulfurs, and also contain those inflammatory omega-6 linoleic acid. They're incomplete proteins. This is really important to understand whether we're talking about these fake meats or just being on a vegan diet. When you're looking at hemp protein or a vegan protein shake, for instance, it might say 20 grams of protein. But what amino acids are in there? There is amino acids. There's 8 essential amino acids, but not just the 8 essential amino acids. They have to be in the right ratio to work in the body. So think of a bicycle. If I gave you 1 handlebar, 3 wheels, and 4 seats, are you going to have a bicycle? You're going to maybe have a bicycle, but you're going to have all these leftover pieces that are trash and you don't know what to do with, but you're calling them protein, right? But your body's actually going to convert them into sugar. With animal protein, it's the way nature intended. It's in the exact ratios of what our tissues need. Okay, so it is really important to think about those amino acids and being in the right ratios, otherwise they cannot be utilized. Studies that vilify red meat for heart health or diabetes are often not looking at whether they're using wild animal protein, which is bison, lamb, deer, elk, Cornish game hen. They're looking at the chicken, the turkey, the pork, the conventionally raised beef. And those are these wild animal proteins are retaining the nutrients, have the amino acids, the vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. They're minimally processed. And because they're wild, they're much healthier. Okay. So this study focuses on cardiovascular health and diabetes, aiming to reduce insulin resistance, which is a key factor in heart disease in the heart and diabetes in the liver. Insulin resistance stems from a lot of things, not just sugar, but processed foods, radiation, toxins, xenoestrogens, and stress. And when it comes to food, protein is a key macronutrient that can actually help with blood sugar and insulin resistance, but it has to be the right kind of protein and assimilating it and absorbing it properly in the body. And so these synthetic and inflammatory ingredients not only won't be processed or absorbed correctly, but they're going to trigger inflammation, cause leaky gut, and worsen insulin resistance. So you could be eating these fake proteins and drive up your insulin resistance and your diabetes and heart attack risk. So heart disease is insulin resistance at the heart. Diabetes is insulin resistance at the liver. The goal is to reduce insulin resistance, right? So what are the right proteins? We know protein is crucial for a healthy metabolism. It can bump up your metabolism and your ATP, your mitochondrial health. that can be a key factor in lowering your insulin resistance. And it can also be that foundational material for your muscles, your tissues, your hair, your nails. Most vegans they get hair loss, they get hypothyroidism, they have no energy, they start gaining weight. That's for a reason, because they're not getting that protein. It is also, protein can cause a thermic effect where it actually is burning 25% of the calories just from this heat generation during the digestion process. So you get these free 25% of the calories, and that's from animal protein. This is not from vegan protein. So that is something that people really like because they're trying to figure out how to boost their metabolism. And then it also is providing those essential amino acids that you need for that strong, lean muscle. And muscle tissue is metabolically active. It contains dense concentrations of mitochondria and ATP. And that is the most important thing. When we're talking about our health, we are trying to get increased ATP and mitochondrial health. So having more muscle can enhance fat burning just by existing. And so it's also, we need to look at the different proteins, right? Okay, whey, pea, and soy protein. These are found in plant-based meat alternatives. These proteins only utilize 18% of their essential amino acids for building new protein, and 82% is converted into sugar, which is going to increase your insulin resistance. They are also going to trigger inflammation, increased estrogen levels, contribute to leaky gut, cause high histamine reactions. So you're getting water retention and allergies. And soy in particular raises concern because of its estrogenic properties. And it has a whole bunch of GMOs in there. That's going to lead to estrogen dominance and more toxicity. Whey protein can be okay for some people, but it is from dairy, and a lot of people are allergic to dairy, and it can provide or provoke inflammation and gut issues as well. Pea protein, mold, allergy reactions, inflammation, not good. Okay, then we get to the chicken, conventional beef, turkey, and pork. Now, these are animal proteins, right? But these are these proteins that contain high levels of omega-6 inflammatory fats, that linoleic acid, and the amyloid proteins. Linoleic acid is unstable. It causes oxidative stress, increased fat storage, reduced ATP production, and will increase your insulin resistance. So not good. But what's even more is these amyloids, which were not in our diet 20 years ago. That's why we were eating chicken and turkey and pork just fine. But these amyloids are misfolded protein structures found in bone marrow, but they don't break down. So here you're eating your chicken, and instead of being broken down into those amino acids, and then your liver saying, okay, we need to package them back up again and take them to your muscles, they are staying in that misfolded protein clump and getting deposited in places like your brain and causing Alzheimer's and dementia. So they're not even being used. And then they are also reactivating viruses, leading to gut problems, inflammation, autoimmunity. The spike protein in our world is making things a lot worse and is producing more amyloids in our body. So we don't want to eat more amyloids, even though we've got plenty in our bodies already from the spike protein. That includes you, Dean, and that includes me as well. And then you've got farm-raised fish. These fish are fed genetically modified corn and soy, not natural to fish. So they're rich in inflammatory fats and linoleic acid. So that is, you want to stay away from the farm-raised fish. So what protein should we look to? Well, number one, I mentioned this before, is that wild animal protein. So you are getting about 32% of that protein is being absorbed, but it's also coming in a package rich with the nutrients like the B vitamins, the iron, magnesium, and potassium that are crucial for protein synthesis and overall health. It is the most nutrient-dense food on the planet, much more nutrient-dense than our vegetables and our fruits, because those are depleted from our depleted soils. And then you get that thermic effect where you're burning 25% of the calories consumed during digestion. They also have omega-3 fatty acids, which are really important for your body. and they will trigger a hormone called CCK which will curb sugar cravings and suppress appetite. So that is your number one focus, is these wild animal proteins. They are in every market now. You can order them online, super available. It's not crazy food. Bison, my super favorite food. It's easy to digest, and it's the most nutrient food on the planet. You can supplement with a supplement called Perfect Aminos. This is in capsules or a shake, but what's so great, it is 99% absorbed. That is unheard of. And each serving of Perfect Aminos is the equivalent of 30 grams of whey protein, but it only contains 2 calories. So you can actually lean bulk, where you're actually gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time. Most people think that's impossible. I know a lot of women have a hard time eating enough protein. So you want to focus on that wild animal protein. You can use the Perfect Aminos to supplement if you need to get in more. I always take them before and after my workouts. Now, what other supplements can you use to reverse insulin resistance? Because the whole study was about reversing insulin resistance, plant-based versus real protein. The accelerated keto helps you start burning your own fat for fuel, lowers insulin resistance, and it triggers that ketosis where your body's burning its own fat for fuel. And it helps cleanse the liver, get rid of that liver fat, turn that saturated liver fat into unsaturated fat. Then you're going to burn that fat much easier, and you're going to start reducing your insulin resistance and uric acid levels. It helps cravings, so it will lower your cravings. It reduces oxidative stress and inflammation, and it increases the ATP production in your cells, in that mitochondria, and that is the goal. It will do so by 5 to 10 times. Next would be accelerated scalar copper. Copper is really important to lower insulin resistance. Most people are low in copper right now because what were they supplementing with during COVID? Zinc. Zinc and copper compete with each other. And processed foods also deplete the body of copper. And lastly, of course, is the accelerated iodine. Iodine supports liver and blood cleansing, helps mitigate the liver congestion due to insulin resistance, increases metabolism, fat oxidation, helps with blood sugar, balances hormones, promotes cellular hydration. What does it not do? And then the accelerated iodine is the only iodine that gets to all 100 trillion cells of the body with 100% absorption, and is enhanced with those scalar frequencies to help with cellular detoxification and from the toxins and the radiation, because a lot of our health problems are from these outside environmental toxins that we're not in control of. So those are the 3 top supplements that help with insulin resistance. But guys, eat real food, whatever it is, carbs, fat, or protein. Eat real food.
So I have a question about that. What carbs would you consider real food?
I love incorporating carbs. Vegetables are great. And according to my accelerated food guide, I list out all of the vegetables that are not sulfur, not oxalates, not lectins, the ones that you can eat safely and feel good on and can increase your ATP and mitochondrial health. I love squashes, spaghetti squash, butternut squash, zucchinis, artichokes, asparagus. I love fruit. Fruit is great. And you really don't overeat on fruit. You might overdrink the fruit juice without the fiber, but try to eat 4 apples. You're not going to do it. If you eat 5 oranges, you're probably going to throw up. My favorite fruits to go to are papaya, watermelon, cherries, and you can get the frozen cherries from the market. They're like little sugar bombs, and they're super safe for everyone to eat, and doesn't trigger any inflammation in the body. Mango is really good for hormonal support for menopausal women. So these are the ones that I tend to. If you're looking at some of the grains, I would go for brown rice. Most of the time people are fine with it. Your stomach's going to tell you. Once you eliminate some of these foods and then you start incorporating back in, your body will say, no, I can't do that food anymore. Most people are good with the fruits, but I love the cooked vegetables, and they're all listed out on my accelerated food guide, which is free on the website.
Well, you're absolutely right about your body will tell you, because I had that experience myself when I was 30, that I had certain things that were not good for my gut, not good for my cholesterol, that all of a sudden I didn't like anymore. Like, I didn't even try to not like it. It was my body telling me, you've done your time. You can't do this anymore. And so, yes, your body definitely tells you all the time. I think if you pay attention, especially when you remove a lot of the toxic environment, of what you're eating, because it's hard to tell what's causing what when you're putting all this poison in your body.
Right.
But when you start isolating it,
Yeah.
which brings me to what you were saying before, I hate pea protein. Like, and so now with you talking about it, now I get it, because I don't even know why anybody would want to eat it. To me, it's like disgusting. And now I know why, because if it's moldy, of course it's disgusting, you know?
Right.
Uh, and so why? And like, some of these things are acquired tastes. I always think about that. Like, if you have to acquire the taste for something, maybe you shouldn't be eating it.
Exactly. And
Right?
fruit is nature's dessert, and it truly, it can fit in your diet. You don't necessarily have to be on a low carb diet to get results, but just get rid of those processed foods, and that includes the processed meats.
Oh,
There's no place for that.
well, I was going to go to that next, because, okay, so you talk about like the plant-based burgers opposed to bison. Okay. You were talking about how good bison is for you. And my viewpoint, anyway, is with these other companies that are creating these processed meats that are supposed to look and taste and feel like meat, to me, that's unnatural. If you're going to be a vegan, why would you want to have stuff that tastes and look and feels like meat, is my viewpoint. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. But still, like, you got to think with some common sense. What kind of mad science are they doing to make that? You
Right.
know, like, think about it, even though maybe that's not what they're using, but let's say pea protein. Think about putting a bunch of peas together to make a burger. It wouldn't look or feel like that. So, what are they putting there to do that? You know?
Exactly.
And so, I am a big believer as, like, you might as well eat the good meat to stay healthy, instead of, if you're gonna do something like that. Okay. And yes, one last thing, bison tastes really, really good. Those
Mhm.
others don't really taste good. We just convince ourselves they do because we think we're doing the right thing, you
Exactly.
know? So, yeah, I mean, once again, a wealth of information, Sarah. It's amazing. I love everything that you talk about, and it just makes common sense. Like, I think people just have to sit and think about common sense for a change, and yeah, once you start getting rid of farmers, which we have done in this country, where is the food coming from? It's coming from mad science, GMOs. And there's nothing I can see that would be good about that. So
Absolutely.
thank God we have people like Sara Banta in the world to educate people. Because, like, even the same thing, look at stuff in the store. V8 juice touted as healthy. It's about as unhealthy as it can get, because everything they put in it and all the sugar they put in and everything they add to it. So everybody needs to check out Accelerated Health Products. Check out, in fact, why don't you tell the listeners all the ways, like, they can join a free coaching call with you on Telegram. They can check out your podcast, your TV show, your radio show, all your products. Tell them all the information.
Everything's on my website, sarabantahealth.com. The group coaching is through Telegram. It's uncensored, which is amazing. And I answer your questions. I post on a daily basis. And the link is on my website, and you can find the links to my podcast, all of my articles, and the store. And you can use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site wide.
Nice. Is there any final words you want to leave our listeners with?
if the food has a package and an ingredient list, throw it away. Just eat the things that don't need an ingredient list, because there's one ingredient, and that's real food.
That's the most amazing advice, because when's the last time you went and got a steak or hamburgers from the supermarket and there were ingredients on the package?
Exactly.
And most people don't think of that. So thanks a lot. Everybody can check out more about this topic and many other topics just by going to connect with Sara on socials. Go to the website, Accelerated Health Products. Check out the shows. And thanks again, Sara, for all you do to help people. And thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.